every week we package those, but not every play has those. So there's sometimes when you're going to sit back and, as you guys can do, and we can do as coaches, you can second guess and say, well, he should have thrown that ball because it had an option to throw. Then there's the check to a throw, which is completely different than a run pass option. So it's really complicated and elaborate, but he did what he was coached to do, and he did exactly the things that we wanted to do. They got two outside, we're checking this. Okay, they got this, we're doing this. He followed those, and he's already done that. Like, he did that all last year under Coach Mumpkin. So like, he did it in practice because he had to be ready to play. If they've got this coming, we can't run that play, we got to go over here and do this play. So not every play has that, because some plays are fastball, some plays are speed break. Every play has its own identity, but he's very bright, he understands it, and we're lucky that we can do some of the things we can do, because he's like Stetson in that way, that he's been in the system long enough to handle the volume.
Coach, you had high praise for C.J. Allen after the game on Saturday. Now that you've had a closer look with film, how do you feel he did in terms of understanding the defense and being at the right place at the right time?
Yeah, the praise I have for C.J. Allen is not more about his performance, but his ability to handle information and play within our defensive scheme at the signal caller position. So like that position, you go comb the country, you're not going to see a ton of freshman linebackers that are out there playing, making the calls. Like, that is impressive. As far as how he played, I think he had some jitters. I think he was nervous. I think a lot of our guys were. Anxiety there. You got to go out and play your first college game. I mean, I can't imagine going straight from high school to being out there and playing, and he got afforded that opportunity, and he played okay, but he really bright.
Kirby, I know you're not big into the fanfare, but obviously Brian Kelly last night made a reference to Georgia. I guess I wondered if you'd heard about it, what your reaction is when he said we thought we were the two-time national champion Georgia Bulldogs, in reference to the maybe thinking they could roll their helmet out in the second half. What does it say when your program is, getting those kind of remarks from your peers, where peers like Coach Kelly's put you guys on a bit of a pedestal there?
It says you're 1 week away from humility. All it says is, how are we going to practice today?
With time to look back at the film, what did you make of Ernest's first start, how he handled himself?
Yeah, it's interesting. I was just talking to Ernest going out there. It's like, in my mind, I see Ernest like this. Man, he's been out there all spring. He's competed. He's played. It's like he's in his second or third year, and you forget that that was his first game in, I guess, 2 years from high school, and he has not had to play. He didn't even get to play. You think about all the guys that got to play last year in the games we had to lead. He never got that. Now, my expectation is that he plays the level of a starter, and he flashes at times to be sudden, quick, do everything right, and then he had a couple plays where he didn't. And I'm like, you know what? That's no different than C.J. Allen. That's no different than Dylan Bell was last year. He's going to go through those WTF moments, I call them, and it's inevitable that they're going to have them. And he had a couple, but he also had a couple really, really good plays. And I'm excited about what he can do if he continues to grow and get better. He can't have those moments.
Hey Kirby, I know you mentioned that Kendall is still sort of pushing through injury. Just where is he in terms of how he responded to playing Saturday? And then, I guess, what does it say about him that he did want to push through the way that he is?
Well, Kendall's dying to get out there, man. This guy got a great heart, great soul, he loves this program. He'll give anything to this program, and it kills him not to be out there. And he has not been able to practice most of camp due to his injury. And we're dealing a little bit now with all right, how does he stay warm and able to do it? Because he's used to playing, right? He plays in a rotation at running back, but he played on all the special teams. Well, now he's not doing that. So when he's not in on offense, he sits over there, it gets cold, he's got to stay warm, he goes in at halftime, the leg tightens up, and he doesn't have what I call the camp stamina. He didn't really go through camp. He worked out, he ran, he did what he had to do, but he could not get himself in playing shape just by camp. So we're really battling that now to get him back right. I think he said himself, if you asked him, he said, I'm around 92%. That's what he quoted it as. And I don't think his stamina's at 92%. I think when he's 100% conditioned, he's at 92%. And we're trying to fight that to get him back. It's a delicate line, right? Of, do you bring him back and try to play him and get him in shape? Or, you sit on the shelf and you don't get carried, you don't get him. I mean, that action he got the other day was like scrimmage 1 and scrimmage 2, because he didn't get to play in those.
Coach, Saturday night you mentioned jitters. We don't even have to talk about the quarterback position, but just as the offense as a whole, How much of the responsibility relies on the coordinator to settle his players in that moment, and how do you go about doing that?
Yeah, I don't think you can say it's up to a coordinator to settle the players. You certainly can call it conservatively to try to figure out where we are, where the guys are. You got two backs that have never played, never carried a ball. Got a quarterback that's never started. You got two starting receivers I know of out, one that's played a lot, and Meek's out. So there's a lot of new pieces of the puzzle, let's say. And I have high expectations for all those guys, but there's a little anxiety there, and a little bit of let's figure out where we are. And when you take the gloves off and say, all right, let Carson go play, then he goes and he plays well. And those guys did too. I mean, think about C.J. Smith and Ra and Dom for the plays they made. And it's different for Ra and Dom. I can't explain it because they've made plays in our league, but they haven't made them here.
Kirby, will Marcus Rosemary be available this weekend to play? And what do you miss when a guy with his amount of experience is out there?
Yeah, Marcus is going to be available to play, and the number one thing we miss is leadership. I mean, the guy is incredible as a leader, and he stands up, admits when he made a mistake, and he is one of the toughest, most competitive. Like, the practice today for him will be like the Super Bowl, and every day is like that for him. I mean, he sets an example in that room that I think it embodies our receiver room. I haven't been around a receiver room that actually cares as much about blocking as these guys do, and they do that because their leader has that personality.
Kirby, we saw Smile London get in, I think, was it maybe one snap, run somebody down, and then you basically keep.
Did he only play one?
Well, that's all I remember. But as a guy that, how close is he to being back fully?
He's close. He felt like in some sub situations he would be able to play, and I thought he played. I didn't chart it, so I don't know. But I know the player you're talking about over on our sideline.
Yeah.
That's the only one I remember. But he feels good. Feels healthy. It's another one of those deals. Can he get in shape by running and playing without wearing his legs out and staying fresh? So he looks good out there, and we expect him to be able to play. I mean, he was cleared to go this week, and it was one of those we were going to be safe as we could.
Have time for two more questions?
For the outside linebacker being such a young, how do you evaluate the play with the guys last week?
Well, we didn't get to see a whole lot. They in the run game, I thought they did a good job. Chaz had several good closes, several good plays, setting edges. I mean, the things that hurt us in terms of quarterback run was not always on them. So we got hurt on quarterback runs several times. It was a couple times the linebacker, one time the safety. I mean, it was different things. I don't think we didn't really get a chance to drop back pass and say, can you get home in 3.5 seconds? 50% of sacks happen after 4 seconds. I don't know if they had a pass that lasted over 4 seconds. So it's just the same song, different year. If the ball's going to get out quick, what are your answers? And how can we grow those guys? We need growth in that room because there's like this big level race. It's like all these guys that are kind of the same spot, and no one has done that. And we need somebody to step up.
Coach, I'm assuming you watched the Kentucky-Ball State game. It seemed like Ball State played them pretty tough, especially in the first half. The score didn't really tell the whole story. What's the initial thoughts that you have on them and the problems that they present?
Very impressed, both sides of the ball. You're right, it's 7-3. They're up on Kentucky in the second. And I watched the game. I'm like, man, these guys are a really good team. Now, we have watched them in the offseason because we wouldn't have but one game on them. And young quarterbacks playing really well. They do a good job of mixing it up in terms of bringing the athletic quarterback in. They've had some tough injuries, but they have a really good football team.
Thank you.
Thank you, Coach.